And we're live. Sorry, I'm sidetracked again. I'm on Skateboards. Apparently, there's a company that makes carbon fiber infused or carbon fiber inlays in the skateboard. I want it. Lithe, Lithe skateboards for you skaters out there. I'm getting one. I'm gonna build a launch ramp out here in the parking lot. Go bust my head. I need an extra reinforced skateboard because when I used to ride, I was 160,
Yeah.
150, 160 or less.
Do they make big and tall skateboards?
Yeah, I need 9 inches wide and extra.
250.
I need the bushings in the trucks to be super stiff so I don't roll over and hit the wheels. I'm buying one though. I have this recurring dream where I wake up. Or before I wake up, where I go to the store as a 40-year-old man, balding old man, and I go to the store, and now I have means, like, because I always remember being a skater and, like, it didn't have any money to, like, buy a board. I always had a nice board, but it was always such a big ordeal to get it, like a new deck if you broke it. And so it was a big decision on what deck you're going to buy because I'm going to be stuck with it for a while. And if it broke, I mean, some of my friends were so poor that like they just weren't getting a new one. At least, my parents would help me spring for it if I took, because I always took great care of it. But like some of my friends would have like the fronts would be all cracked. They I forget what you called it when not focus. It focuses when you'd break it, but when it rams into a wall and jacks up the nose or the tail. But they I have this dream where I go to the store in some random mall. I don't know what mall this is in my dream, and I go into this place and I order a deck with all like the best bearings, best trucks, best typical best everything that I can buy. Most expensive, but what I've vetted to be the best of whatever that generation was, and then I pay the money and I do what I always do and just punt the receipt as I'm walking out the door, and then I keep going back and like they're like, what are you talking about? You didn't buy this. And then I order another one and it gets in this loop where I'm like, all right, screw it, and I just order another one and then I never get it. So I'm gonna buy one here today.
We have an appropriate comment here from Kyle H.
Okay.
Skateboards now? ? Ted and I are about to take this bike out to make sure it gets used.
No, don't mess with my bike. I rode it here, so yeah, I need to get a new dropper. I'd get rid of the stupid dropper post because it's too tall. I have to drop it down a little bit because it's too, even at the lowest position, it's too low or too high, and so yeah, I've got work to do on that thing. But it was on the list, but now I'm headed to the mountains. So anyway, yeah, I don't know. I like the chase. Like I was looking for SEMA shoes the other day. When you go to SEMA, you need special shoes for SEMA. And because it hurts, man. You're walking 10, 12 miles a day and standing up, just talking to people all the time. And it's a rough go. And so, like, I don't want to wear, like, my, Nanos or my, what are the Nike Metcons or any of the shoes that I normally wear because the Nike Retaliations, they don't have enough support. And so what I've worn the last 3 years are gel Nimbus 15s that look super dad shoes, and I just don't like them. So I ordered gel something or other, I don't remember what it was, but some different ASICs. So it'll probably take me, so I got a little bit of time. It'll probably take me 3 or 4 pairs to figure out what's the correct iteration, what's going to be the correct shoes to walk, 10, 12 miles a day.
So the ASICs didn't look good to you, but they performed well? Or no?
Yeah, but they look real daddy, like super not good. And I've got an image to uphold here.
It's the first thing people do when they see you, like, what kind of shoes is he wearing?
Yeah, it just doesn't quite look right.
We have some.
I'd like to up my style game here. That's what we're working on with some new apparel. So we're gonna have some hoodies and some long sleeve tees and some. You guys tried to talk me into a baseball tee. I almost kicked you in the nuts. To get out of here with that crap. Like freaking baseball tees. We're not doing. I don't need some hat. What were you gonna have me wearing? Some half pants too that come like halfway down my pant leg? I'm not doing that.
Ted likes those because those are like long sleeve for Ted because his arms are so short. He said.
Oh, that's junk.
If you get long sleeve, they like go all the way past his hand.
That's why they have the little elastic band. You just bunch it up.
We have some comments here in the chat. Some suggestions. Men's Ultra Boost 19 running shoes. Give those a shot.
Are those Adidas? I absolutely, positively despise the current generation of sneakers. They look ridiculous.
Yeah, they're Adidas.
Ugh. They're just so ugly. The whole Yeezy movement and then all the Adidases and all the Nikes, they all look the same with that weird, it's like Skechers have become cool. Oh, I hate it. Yeah, I hate that. Ugh. Hideous. I've got no room to talk about any of this crap. Yeah, we're not. These are Bryce shoes. They're like moon shoes, from back in the 80s. You know,
couple votes for your New Balances, but I think you burned those. Those are gone. Yoshi
should have given them to charity.
Yoshi says go back and forth between 2 to 3 shoes, so just do like an outfit change halfway through the day.
Yeah.
We have a super chat here from MB is Frenchie, who you may recall, it's been probably a month ago. He's talking about PPF comparison and doing it yourself and half and half. Any update on PPF comparison idea for the Corvette?
Well, the Corvette's getting S-Tech Dynashield. So Billy and I at Presidential have been talking to him. I said, Billy, do you want to do a project? He's like, heck yeah, I'm in. And so I'm like, I was kind of contemplating what to do. Again, I am going to go and I probably shouldn't put my foot in my mouth here, but the plan is to go and do some serious track time at Atlanta Motorsports Park with this car. Since I don't care as much about this car as I do my beloved GT3 RS, so I'm going to go rag the thing out. It probably has 10,000 track miles on the thing, which is frustrating that I got duped into this. It's my own dumb fault for not doing my due diligence, but I just... if we found out it doesn't have the right wheels on it, the rotors are toast, so I had to buy some new carbon ceramics. The car looks great, it drives great. It's just, who knows how much ragging out's been done on it. So I'm gonna go drive it, and then I'm almost certain I'm not gonna do a giveaway on this car. I'm almost certain I'm gonna sell it. So I need to get a set of carbon 65 wheels. I'd like to have the original wheels. I'll buy the dude some stickers. That seems to be a big point of contention that everybody, how could you take the stickers off? It's not even a carbon 65 anymore. I said, well, it has a bunch of different stuff on it that makes it a carbon 65. But we come to find out the wheels aren't even correct. So it just got hosed. Dealing with dealerships is just so frustrating. Like, just tell me the darn truth. They know what the car was and where it came from. They just play dumb. And, I shouldn't have to do massive due diligence. I knew I wanted a carbon 65. So the good news is that the project is much bigger. So I get to take this project on. And the bad news is I got to spend all the money to get this up to standard that I already spent too much money on.
All right, so you kind of addressed 1/6 Designs. You had a question about making more of a track type car, so it sounds like that might be the good thing.
Well, I'm not going to make it a track type car. I'm just going to take it to the track. For not a lot of track, because I'm not going to have fun. It's not like I'm going to go out there and be like, yeah, this is it. I already know that. I'm going to be exhausted. I'm going to be like, why am I doing this? So I'm going to be doing it for the car control, just the skill improvement, car control and things like that. And the only problem is I'll become more proficient in a big, heavy front engine versus a rear engine or mid-engine car. But, grip is grip and oversteer is oversteer and understeer is understeer. There's just different nuances to where the engine and where the weight transfer comes from. But I think I'm going to do that, and I'm going to try to convince Michelle to come up and spend a day as well and do some lighter. She's kind of balking at that, some lighter car control stuff.
Gotcha. Well, she's in the chat here. She said she loves that car. You can tell when she drives it. She likes driving that car.
It's fascinating, man. I mean, it is. I don't know what it is, but just in general, people respond to that car. And we're going to talk a little bit here today about how I'm going to approach things with this thing. because we're about to get into it here soon over the next month or two as the parts start coming in, and I start start modifying it. The tinting video will be out here shortly, and that'll be the first minor modifications. You call it a mod when you do floor mats?
No, I don't think so.
I think that's what YouTube people call it, a mod. I'm not.
Get three horsepower out of
big mods planned. Big mods executed. XXX fire.
Oh, I have to go back here to this comment. This is the best comment so far to your talking about SEMA walking around in those shoes.
Yeah.
So T. Christopher FN says, just rent a scooter. You already own a Corvette. Next, a walk-in tub.
I'm gonna start defending you Corvettes. I'm gonna take the opposite stance of what you guys think, and start taking on a stance of screw you. Everything's perfect.
All right.
So let's talk about that while we're at it. So what I think I'm going to do, and so I promised I wouldn't talk about this, but I'm going to anyway. I made the initial Corvette video, and I was going to deny it to my grave that I even did it. Just pretend like, what are you talking about? I wore all these goofy clothes and all of that stuff. I did it for the fun of it. I did it for the irony of it. But and I was pretty certain of this, but there's a significant demographic of Corvette onlys, that their car progression was up through the Chevy ranks. Ford doesn't occur to them. It's very different because even like the diehard, very simple Mustang ownership crowd that's diehard Mustang, I just feel is very different from the Chevy. The only Chevy guys. I fashion myself or fancy myself as a BMW Porsche guy. That's what I identify with. It's what I aspire to identify with anyway. I don't aspire to identify with the Lamborghini or the Ferrari crowd, and I'm probably going to make a video on my take on the types. I may or may not do that depending on if I want to get the death threats or not. But the Corvette community, I knew this going in, and I kind of did it just to poke fun when I wore all this goofy stuff. The goofy stuff is not like a joke. Like, it's real. Like, real. And I'll even confirm this. I went to Cars and Cops in Ocala. And it was pretty much all Challengers and Chargers and Corvettes and then classics. Not a single Porsche, not a single BMW in this whole entire show. And first off, a guy was walking around wearing that shirt that I was wearing. Like, seriously wearing it. It was just a Camaro version of it. The same puke yellow and everything. Like, seriously wearing it. And then just the conversations I had with people about... How do I say this? They just don't know what they're doing is really, really odd. they just don't. And then I started thinking maybe I'm the odd one. Like, I think I have all this awareness of car culture and car guy and what's right and wrong, and I can certainly accept. I'm not a Corvette aficionado, but I could appreciate a guy that let's say he's a police chief. And that's the car he's always wanted because he grew up with that. He gets the car, he lowers it, he learns how to detail it properly, buys a decent pressure washer. Doesn't have to be a Krenzler, but he washes it properly with either a 1-bucket method or 2-bucket method, and really doesn't take himself so seriously, like certain things about the car, but doesn't have like neon Coors Light signs lining the walls of his garage and things like that. But really enjoys that car and what it represents and how it performs, and then doesn't bolt a bunch of weird stuff on the car. And I make the video of me wearing all this goofy crap. That guy gets a chuckle out of it. He's self-aware. But the largest percentage of this community is not aware that they're weird as crap. So I go to this show, and there's one Corvette, for example, and I don't want to call anybody out, but it's a Stingray, base Stingray. And the dude bought every possible thing you could lick and stick onto the car imaginable. Like louvers on the back window and little fender vent, like everything that you could possibly imagine. He's probably $5,000 into lick and stick parts. And yet the car's not even lowered. And all you have to do is turn down the stock bolts. He's got seat covers. He's got look, do not touch. He's got trophies. He's got, look, do not touch all over the things. He's got a mannequin sitting in the passenger seat. He's got the plaque. And I'm like, what? What is going on? And so I'm realizing that this community, this Corvette community, that's 90% of it. Or let's say that dude is 30% of it. And then we have different levels on the spectrum of total lack of self-awareness. There was one car there that had like not Chucky dolls, but kind of Chucky dolls like on the top of the sunroof, and then had like a snake, airbrushed into the hood. Probably cost him $3,000 to have that thing polished and painted a cobra on his, like a viper or some bull crap on the hood. And I'm just walking around. I'm like, these are the people that are going to want to kill me if I don't watch what I say about this thing. So what I think I'm going to do with the Corvette, I don't hate it. I freaking bought it, for gosh sakes. I'm intrigued by it. And I think in the beginning of every video and then things like this, I'm gonna not disclaim, because I have to do me, but I'm gonna have a really very honest conversation with people to say, look, part of the things I recognized in this Corvette culture, Corvette community, there is not a single video on YouTube or anywhere on any forum or anywhere online of somebody buying, a set of drop spindles from LG Motorsports. They make these billet aluminum drop spindles that help you lower the car and doesn't change its suspension geometry to a large extent. There's not a single video anywhere of that. How is that even? There's 10,000 videos of how to lower your wheel bolts for nothing and start cutting stuff out and really jacking up the handling of the car. There's 10,000 videos of that. But there's none, and they're all the same, like shooting it on like a Canon Vixma or their iPhone or their iPhone 4 or something like that. There's just a lack of effort that I want to put into this and learning the car. I'm most certainly at the end of this not going to be a convert and say Corvettes are the way. This is my car. I just didn't grow up chasing or wanting that. Even though I kind of grew up in this car show culture. There's one guy who's talking about how, well, it's not clean like normally. Normally I have 1,000 point whatever. I'm like, this guy doesn't even know what a microfiber. He just learned what a microfiber towel is. He doesn't know what it. So that car show culture is a large percentage. That Corvettes of Carlisle culture is a really, really strong contingent. And then every point on the spectrum of people that lack real self-awareness, and I don't want to pander to that, but I don't want to get them all up in arms. So I'm going to make a disclaimer in every video to say, look, there's things like these drop spindles that I want to share. And when I'm putting the drop spindles on, I might have some complaints that this bolt doesn't come off right, or why did they do this? And I'm questioning things. That doesn't mean I hate you. It doesn't mean I don't like the car. It means that I don't like this. And shoot, how many times I do that with my BMW or Porsche that I'm a super fan of. And so I want to be able to be real, but I'm going to ask people in the beginning of pretty much every video, do you want me to lie to you? Or do you want me to chase this and then come to a conclusion and accept the conclusion? Or would you rather just me smile and say only good things and lie to you? Which would you rather me do? And I'm hoping that, you know, some people are going to say, I want you to lie to me, and I'm not going to do that. I'm hoping that will help keep people from showing up at my doorstep with, you know, bags of poop. Because I can just see it. That's what's going to happen. You know, they're going to get a hold of my cell phone number, and they're going to start texting, you know, D pics and stuff like that. Like, you know, I can just see it coming. There's this whole culture that, you know, like a 911 owner just isn't going to do. And a lot of it's the reservedness of a 911 owner. There's a lot of Type A's that own a 650 horsepower car that wouldn't accept 400 horsepower. It's just not enough. It's not fast enough. You know, because us Porsche guys make excuses for our lack of power and speed. And you know, that's why they make the GT2 for the people who want to compete. And even then, you're not competing with a Corvette in a straight line. You know, and it's 650 horsepower, and you have to decide, do I want 800, 900, or 1,000 at the wheels, you know, or 1,100? Well, what do I want? I could spend $35,000 and have an 1,200 horsepower car. And that's really interesting to me. So that's something I'm going to have to navigate and not be able to do my normal ranty self all the time with the Corvette, because I'm going to want to rant a lot about some of the ridiculous things, like the fact that, like, what did they do? Call up Recaro and say, you know, take whatever your cheapest seat is and make it worse. I'm going to have to take it a little easy on that, I think, for the gentleness. And I know some people are going to call me a sellout for doing that, but I'm becoming more and more self-aware personally of what this car is iconic. No one can deny that. Even I can't deny that. And I really am not interested in turning everybody off. What I am interested in doing is just sharing my experience. Not an opinion based on no fact, but based on no facts. I want to share an experience based on what actually happens, and then I'm going to develop that, and it's kind of hard to invalidate that. But it's really hard for me to understand the dude who has, you know, Chucky dolls. There was one car there. It was a 2018 Dodge Challenger or something like that. Challenger, whatever. I think it was a Challenger. No, it was a Charger, 2018. No, it was a Challenger.
The bigger, wider one.
Yeah. So he has this plaque made. It's 2018. Okay. One of one. It says big, bold letters, one of one. He's got like one trophy that's propping the hood open, just like usual. And then all these guys, and Mopar everything. There's Mopar stickers, like Mopar or die or whatever. And so there's this plaque that says one of one. I'm like, what do you mean freaking one of one? It's a 2018. Would this guy, you know, call up the Dodge Bros and like have them make a specific car? No, he'd come to this conclusion that, you know, so in 2018 they made X amount of cars, and then of those 35 were wide bodies, and then of those wide bodies 11 were whatever this reddish orange color was, and then of those 7 were a manual, but this is the only one with red interior. So the only reason for that is because no one in their right mind would ever do that, buy an orange car with red interior. It's ridiculous. But it was just fascinating that it had this big plaque and a trophy for God knows what on this car. I just cannot relate to that. If someone gave me a trophy for my GT3, I just punt it right in the trash as I walked out the door. It just doesn't make any sense at all. So anyway, I'm going to have to, I'm not doing a good job already. I'm going to have to do some disclaiming. So just prepare yourself. In the Corvette videos, I'm going to do basically a disclaimer for each video I make, and just remind people, you don't want me to lie about this here. You want me to share the experience, and I think that there's going to be some value at the end of this whole experience of headers and exhaust and intake. And the gosh darn intake is $1,300 from Hall Tech. I think it's Hall Tech, or maybe Hal Tech. I think it's Hall Tech. it's like their website was built in 1996 on GeoCities, and they have like 8 pictures of their thing that are blurry. I'm like, my goodness, this thing looks amazing. It looks like great. It looks like an awesome piece of craftsmanship. So I'm kind of glad that it's that way, but there's not a single video of an install. There's not a single video of like what it is or an unboxing. There's no photos anywhere. There's no forum write-ups on anything. So, and I think a lot of it is guys in Corvette forum don't know how to post a picture on a forum. That's difficult. So I'm gonna create a journal. I've been talking with K-Tech. K-Tech appeals to me. I don't give a crap if this company or that company makes more horsepower. I don't care about horsepower. I care about engineering and craftsmanship. Just like I buy a lot of Dynon parts, there's lots of hacky, much simpler, newer BMW companies that'll squeeze more horsepower or do it for less money, but I'm interested in engineering. And I'm interested in keeping things under control. And so K-Tech seems very clear that they are my type of people. And so I'm talking to them about shipping the car then and doing all kinds of porting and polishing and all that stuff they did in the 50s. We're going to do that to this car, to the 1950s engine that's in it. So, yeah, it's going to be cool. I think it's going to be of value. So just give me a chance. And I'm going to disclaim every video. So whether you're a Porsche guy, a BMW guy, and let's just not hate on the Corvette people. Let's let them come around to this way of being obsessed with things. Because there are many of them that are. There are many of them that bought 911 said it's just not enough horsepower for me. A Corvette is much better value. And I understand that. It doesn't work for me, but I understand that. Now I have both. I don't think I could ever see myself trading one for the other, but that's something that's gonna happen.
All right, I want to address a few comments here that came up here. First of all, our buddy Brad Bacon chimed in, said someone give Chris some credit for his ability to read aloud quickly and clearly. Well, he must know I'm the one in charge of paying invoices. That's good. Have Matt use a hoverboard to get around SEMA. There's another good idea. Then some talk about dealerships. If I got a question about the OG Gunwan pre-order, who can I email? So Sean, email Kyle, Kyle, at obsessedgarage.com. Hi from Puerto Rico, Matt. Love to see Matt with the Huracan. No, we've talked about that before.
Yeah, let me address that really quickly.
This is like hypercar, Lamborghini, Ferrari.
So, yeah, never mind. I don't want to go there yet. I haven't formulated my thoughts on that. You will probably never in your life see me own a Lamborghini. I have no desire for a Ferrari. I mean, I could see myself maybe buying a Ferrari someday, but I don't have a desire for it now. If I had like $76 million, like we talk about, I'd probably buy a Ferrari just to get one. But not really my bag, and certainly not a Lamborghini.
All right, Alex, LOL. Any news on the 32-ounce Brakebuster restock? Yes, it's back in stock.
It is?
Yep.
When did it come?
Came in yesterday.
Oh.
And so we had 144 come in, and a lot have gone out. So if you haven't gotten that yet, do that.
We only had 144. We have a lot more coming.
There's more on the way. Okay. Yeah, that's all we could get this most recent time. And by the way, for Alex and others out there, if there's something that's sold out, if you just go to the far right side of the page, it says email when available. You can click on that, and that way you know as soon as they're back in.
There's also a product updates page. You can usually click the link, and it'll give you an idea where things are at.
Let's see. T. Christopher chimes in again. Chris's shirt is legit in that color. I do like this color. Yep, this is available in the store if you want one.
Interesting story.
No, we won't address that right now. How does the Corvette compare to the GT350? Bob wants to know.
That's a great question.
Both big American muscle cars.
Yeah, but the GT350 is like what an M3 should be today, minus a little bit of jankiness, like all steel, control arms and things like that. So a GT350 is so close to like being like an almost darn perfect car. A little bit of bruteness to it that they could polish up and make it great. I just feel like Ford is going to win. Ford is so much more progressive. They're limited by the typical American constraints. I think a lot of it is just in the ability to produce, like the Germans have. The Germans are ahead of them, and their ability to produce a high quality product. Like for instance, they did a good job of going to Recaro and say, hey, let's make a seat, but let's make it crappier and make sure no one fits in it. Whereas, like, how could a GT3 fit my 6'8" buddies? How can Sean fit in a GT3 RS no problem in a 2-seater sports car or a 2-seater Cayman with bucket seats that stick up the side? Like, how is it that everybody small and large can fit in there perfectly? And I'm sitting in a Corvette and my head's touching the ceiling. I just licked the microphone for some reason. My head is touching the ceiling, and I can't see anything because I'm looking like out the last millimeter of the darn. I'm not going to do this. No, I am going to do this. So I'm looking out the last millimeter of the freaking windshield, and all I see is this warning label in bright yellow shining at my face. How could that even happen? Like, how could they not go get like a normal size male, put him in the seat, and say, oh yeah, this doesn't freaking work. Maybe we should redesign it. Nah, let's just ship it. And let's ship it. Let's keep it that way for the next 6 years because we already designed the tub. And then, well, we can't really fit a seat. The base of the seat doesn't fit. So let's just take a normal seat and let's just make it narrower. Let's leave the bolsters where they are so even my 8-year-old is sitting on the bolsters. Like, what in the world is going on? So the GT350 has a lot of the same jankiness that the Corvette has, but it's so much more of a, like, just take the engine. The engine is something they tried something. And that's what Corvette's trying to do with the C8. I just freaking hate that thing. I think the thing's hideous. I think it's from the ugliest cars ever made. I know people are in love with that, but good luck with that. You can have that thing. The current Corvette, although looks a little aggressive, a little odd, it's kind of cool from certain vantage points. So I would choose a GT350 every time. Less power potential, but the engine, the power plant, there's some quirks to that. And yeah, you have NVH from it being a flat plane crank, but it's just a really cool, the seating position isn't so bad. I would choose a GT350 over the Corvette. If I had to say, no Porsche, no BMWs, no Audis, none of that stuff. These are the cars you have the choice of. I'd choose a GT350.
Thomas Collier says, I think the Corvette's a great car to eat your first cheeseburger in. That's a good idea. Let's see. Okay, I want to get to this question. Get to this Instagram question from Ty. Will you test Adam's Megafoam shampoo? Getting plans to test that.
I don't really see any need for that. I don't need any more foam. And I'm pretty sure any kind of foam specific will lose some lubrication. So I don't really see any need for that product. I guess it may be more useful if you had a really inexpensive pressure washer and a really inexpensive, not very high quality foam cannon, and you weren't able to produce foam, and that was one way you'll be able to get it done. I just think we can always fix that by changing the orifice, maybe using some filtered water or warm water. You can always solve that problem without having to use some foam. I almost guarantee you're going to sacrifice, in order to get that foam, you're sacrificing something. I don't need more foam. If any more foam, it just falls off the car. Foam is really more of a show than anything. So regular Adams car shampoo, I just talked about it last night on Instagram. This is my 37th go around of going looking for something else. It is so gosh darn good that why do we need anything else? Why do we need another one? Now, from Adam's perspective, they're selling to a lot of DIYers that Mega Foam probably does really well or does better in like a garden hose foamer and stuff like that. So from their perspective, I totally get it. From our perspective as prosumers, I don't think we need it. So now I'm speaking out of turn because I haven't tested it, but I did test what's the other foam? Not Mega Foam, but the foam, Ultra Foam. And Ultra Foam didn't foam any more than regular foam, and there didn't seem to be any benefit to it over the regular Adams car shampoo for me. So the regular is just such a perfect combination of slickness. You can use it in all of your... in fact, I think I was reading somewhere, someone said that Adams doesn't even recommend that you use Mega Foam in a soap bucket on the paint. Mainly designed to just foam the car. And my guess is it's not quite as pH friendly. And that's the beauty of Adams. You go out in the sun and wash the darn thing. You don't have to worry so much about soap residue, causing water spots and things like that. It's just a great soap. I hope they change it and mess it up and that let me private label the current version of it. Even the red soap was great too back in the day. So I think I've been using Adams soap for 7 or 8 years now, maybe even a little longer.
All right, so you addressed high-class detailing. He asked that question on Instagram. Jeff's detailing, and then also Dr. Phil here in the chat want to know, is there a forklift update? Did you keep it or did you punt it?
I don't know if we were going to be able to punt it, but we probably could have put up a big fight. It's too big. It doesn't really work here, but I kept it because we're going to need that. That's the forklift we're going to need. It's way bigger than I planned. So a detail series coming up here shortly when I get back from the mountains.
Matt, I saw you recently completed the detailing series for the M5. Did you end up using color lock on the interior? Did you like it? If so, will you offer it in the store?
No, I used Swissvax on their system on the interior. Swissvax is now in the store. Man, I just like the Swissvax spray so much. I'm a sucker for their branding and bottling. I'm pretty certain that Swissvax leather milk is just leather. I can't get the darn name straight. Leather. What do they call it? Leather something. Leather protection.
Cleaner Forte. There's leather cleaner.
No, I'm talking
milk.
about the Color Lock version of it. Color Lock makes leather milk for Swissvax, and then Swissvax has to charge a lot more for it. So if you want to be really savvy, you would just go and buy the
Shield.
Color Lock version. Shield, thank you.
Thanks, Noe.
Yeah, so I don't know. I can't keep those names straight. I'm always stuck on, because I used Leather Masters for many years, so Leather Vital and Leather Protection Cream is what they were called. So I keep wanting to say Leather Vital, but it's not Leather Vital. It's Leather Shield. Leather Vital, Leather Shield are very similar. I wonder if Color Lock makes the Leather Master stuff. I don't know. But yeah, the cleaners for Swissvax are just so darn good. And I'm almost certain the cleaners are Swissvax cleaners. That's what Lars said. So what I'm probably going to do is create a more sophisticated line out of the larger, greater line of Color Lock of what you would need as a separate kind of leather care expert kit. But for just the general schmo like me and you, the Swissvax is just a little easier for me to follow. But I do think they both have their place. I'm just a sucker for Swissvax, always have been for the interior. And so we have. I bought $30,000 worth of it. And I'm not just saying, like, I was going to punt it. I was going to punt. How much should I pay there? $27,000 or something. I was just going to punt it and then deal with the fallout. But I cleaned the M5 with it, and I'm just absolutely in love with it. So, say what you want. I would have punted it and ruined a relationship with Swissvax, but I don't need to because it's freaking awesome. But Color Lock will also be instituted into this as well. It just so happened that Color Lock reached out to me, and I like the product. It's great, and I think it deserves a spot in the store. But I've got to play with it a little bit more. Swissvax I've been using for a lot longer.
And just to clarify here, Swissvax is here in OGHQ, but it is not yet in the store. So Bryce or Mike, if you're watching,
yeah, get moving.
But we have all the information we need for that. Let's see. Scott Belkin on Facebook asked a good question. He says, "Who is Rex, and why is Rex washing some of your cars?"
Rex is a dude who used to serve me sushi at the sushi place, and one day, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, he'd been working there for years, and one day he said, "One of you guys, the guys that always has all these cool cars that are out in the parking lot?" And they all look at me and pointed to me. He says, "Oh man, I love those cars," because I'd always have something different or new. Every 6 months I'm trading something out, and so ever since then we've kind of hit it off. And so Rex started detailing a couple of years ago, and started his own little detailing business. He eventually left the sushi place and started his own business where he's doing car care. And so like Rex, when we started HQ here, did a lot of volunteering, just coming and just hanging out. And he's just a worker. The dude is just he's a workhorse. At some point, I'm going to figure out what his job is going to be here. I'm going to make him quit detailing and come work for OG. But he's washing the Raptor. And he knows my system because he's watched it all and he's watched me do it. And so I feel comfortable. Like he helped on the red car. He helped on Adam LZ's car. And so I keep him around because he's willing to do whatever. He's down for whatever. And he's just a cool dude to be around, Everybody enjoys them here. He's always hanging out with my mom and dad, talking to them. But how old is Rex? Probably 30?
Yeah, he's early 30s.
Yeah. And so he's doing washing the Raptor.
Where Brandon on Facebook wants to know, where's the RS been and what are the next mods / changes planned?
First of all, stop saying mods.
This is Brandon, your boy, Brandon Boychuk.
Oh, yeah. Stop saying mods, Brandon. I know you think it's cool, but no more clickbaiting me. The RS is here. It was in the HQ here all week, and I did bolster protectors. I do an interior cleaning using Sonax Alcantara cleaner and Swissvax leather cleaner. What else did I do? I think that's all I did the RS. I was checking the exhaust and getting it prepped, checking tire pressures and stuff for the mountains. And oh shoot, I didn't check the tire pressures. Crap. It went on a truck. So we'll have videos probably Monday, Tuesday, I think is when I've been on a darn video tirade here lately, so we have tons and tons of video backlog that Bryce and Mike are editing. But that's coming. RS will have a series with Dundon. Jamie and Charles Dundon are going to fly out here. We're going to do their new intake plenum and their full catted exhaust on the car. So that'll be coming here soon in the not too distant future. My likely goal after the Corvette will probably be to take a little break with cars, and I'm going to get a GT4 come heck or high water, even if I have to buy a used one. And I'm going to get rid of the Corvette. I'm probably going to get rid of the M5. We'll keep the Raptor. So this is a year and a half out. I'm going to be focused on garage design and building the garage design business, and including building my own garage. And so over the course of the next year and a half, I'm going to be spending a lot of time. I spent some time talking about that inside the Hex, about the organizational structure and what my intention is. And so I'll probably slow my roll a little bit on car modifications and very specific car videos, so you'll get more driving GT4 RS and more general maintenance on those cars. And I'll probably slow down a little bit on the whole car experience thing for a little while until I have the space to do it and build a garage.
There you go. You addressed Michael Pittner's question on Facebook there. EC wants to know, on the H2Go video, I was wondering why you clean the glass with alcohol instead of a visible glass before applying H2Go.
It's just more concentrated. You could do either, but I want something. I was using 91% IPA. Invisible glass is probably 5% or 10% IPA of some sorts. And so I want to just as strong and straight up as I could get, just to make sure that I have a good, clean surface to get whatever is left over off of it, the polish residue. And that's what prepped it. But I'm pretty sure that Wolf's is much better. We're going to find out. The initial reaction of H2Go, I always want to say H2O Go. H2Go is went on easier, which probably means it's going to come off easier. And I sprayed some clarity on the windshield, which is the concentrate that you add to your washer fluid. I think that's pretty sweet, though. It seemed like it was really good.
All right, that IMQ James has a question along those same lines here. What windshield coatings have you tried other than Wolf's, and will you be getting Wolf's back in the store or a different coating?
Well, most windshield stuff that they call coatings aren't really coatings. It's just a sealant of sorts. Coatings are usually something that would create like a semi-permeable layer, where you could actually, it's like if you ever watch the Forensic Detailing channel, he puts coatings on a balloon and you can actually see the skin. You can see that layer as you squeeze the balloon, and it kind of cracks off. I don't think that, and I'm speaking out of turn here because I don't know this, but I don't think any of them are really coatings. They're more of a sealant that changes the contact angle of the water. So I've used Adams, the old Adams back in the day. I've used Griots. I've used Dr. Beasley's. I've used Nanolex, I believe, had one, if I remember correctly. Let's see. Of course, Wolf's, which I'm so fond of. I've used Carpro Forte Flyby. I've used G on View. I've used G Technic. Was it C1, I think it's called? No. G1, I think it's called. So I've used a lot of them. And Wolf's is still the best. Yet to be determined on H2Go. Maurice Horton has, it was adamant that I've got to try H2Go. So I listened to him. And so I'm going to, he was right dead on with vision. So I've gotta try it. Oh, Optimum's glass coating. And so the natural thing is everybody says, you got to try glass parency. You got to try it. Well, unless glass parency opens it up to the general public, I'm not interested. Because chances are it's the same crap that everybody else has. They've just figured out how to create some sort of monetization around it. Or else show me why it's different. And everybody swears by glass parency. Well, have they ever actually used some of these other coatings like I have? And I have nothing against the glass parency guys. That's their business model, is to go and do pro only. And because most people can't manage, like if I gave Michelle Wolf's and said, this is how you're going to maintain the windshield, she blew through Wolf's in like a month, where it lasts me a year, because she's just wipers whenever the wipers need to go, dry wiping like crazy. So I'm like, what the heck's going on? Why is this not beating at all anymore? And because she just hacked right through the window coating in minutes. Or the window sealant. So, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. That's something I'm going to talk to Corey about, or talk to Avi about with CarPro. What is CarPro Forte Flyby? Is it technically a sealant, or is it an actual like a silicon dioxide based coating, or titanium dioxide, or some version of magnesium oxide, something like that type, magnesium carbide type coating? And there certainly is a difference between like Optimum's Pro glass and their regular glass. But it still has the same kind of smell. They all smell the same. They all feel the same. Because I've used both the Optimum's Pro and regular coating. So that's my take.
All right, I want to change directions here. Go to a seasonal question from John on Facebook. With Halloween coming up, I was wondering, does Matt pass out candy to trick-or-treaters?
No.
And, no. All right. Well, if so, do you hand out fun size, or do you go king size candy bars, or is it zebra cakes?
I am embarrassed for those children, so I turn off all the lights and hide. I bet you're a big Halloween guy, aren't you?
No, we don't have anybody that even, like, everyone who lives near us, they go to other neighborhoods.
But you would be.
Oh, yeah, I would like that.
Yeah, you'd be like, you make them do tricks and stuff. I get really
5 push-ups if you want a Snickers.
I get really embarrassed. But if I were doing it, you better darn believe it'd be king size awesome. Uncle Maddie's gonna be the darn favorite house, that's for sure. No one comes to our house because everybody has 3-acre lots, and the kids would be worn out walking to 10 houses.
Heck of a driveway to get down.
yeah. My driveway's 300 feet long, and then it's 1,000 feet to the next person's house. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I could sit out there.
No. I
don't care that much. I'd rather skip the whole trick-or-treat and just buy my own kids a bag of candy and skip it all, but I'm not a very good person.
Well, Michelle is chiming in. She says you're at SEMA every year during Halloween. This year, I think it's a little bit later.
Yeah, I got to be here for it.
Yeah, so that's November.
I'm gonna walk out 4th. Sweating. It's normally 1,000 degrees. There's bugs everywhere, and every kids are screaming. Kate's angry. Everybody hates everybody. I'm like, why are we doing this? I will literally take you kids to Publix and buy you anything you want if we don't have to do this.
The next day, half price.
No, same day, full price. I don't even care. Whatever I got to do to get out of this. Let's do it.
Walgreens, same thing. Go November 1st. Let's see here. Justin on Facebook wants to know, is there any plans for another OG Pacific Northwest trip in the future?
We don't have anything booked, but I don't know. We had a pretty successful event. It's hard because we booked so many things, and people, it's hard for them to commit to this kind of stuff. And so, we had 30 commitments, and then, 8 people showed up. Part of it's probably I didn't promote it hard enough, but I don't know. Dave, he'll decide if he wants to do it or not. I'll be there. So if you guys want to go, I'll go. But this year I'm slowing my roll on how many meetups we'll be doing, and more. What I should do is plan more where I'm gonna be, and then just do like, hey, I'm gonna be here. It just always kind of gets me that I don't want to be there and like one person shows up and I feel like an idiot. Plus when I'm traveling, I just want to be left alone usually. But I also I say I want to be left alone, but then I'm like, well, I want to do something, but then I don't want to put in the effort to do it. But I usually end up grabbing dinner with somebody. When I was in Baltimore, I grabbed dinner with a couple of guys. So it's usually the bold to reach out and say, hey, let's do it. All right, let's go. Where do you want to go? I want a steak.
Good choice. Let's see here. This from, speaking of Dave, Matt, given your experience in audio, what's your opinion on Dynamat? Is it advisable to pay more for a name brand? Primary intention is to chase, maybe lessen some interior vibrations / rattles under panels, even without music playing.
Well, remember, Dynamat is very, very heavy, so it starts to add up rather quickly weight-wise. So that sound deadening stuff does get expensive and heavy. I've been kind of out of the loop on it, but as far as I've always known, the Scoche has made it, or SCOCHE. There's been some other copiers. Phoenix Gold have made some stuff like that. There's probably 6 or 7 other manufacturers, but Dynamat to me always had the best, most pliable, most installable version of it. So I'd always thought that, and I always splurged for the real deal. All it kind of really is rubberized undercoating with tinfoil, attached to it to keep it from sticking to everything on the top side. But it will make a huge difference if you dynamited the whole interior of a car. Oh my gosh, it would change your life. But you'd also add at least 100 pounds to the car if you did a substantial amount. I mean, you pick up a roll of Dynamat, it adds up weight quickly. But yeah, it can make a difference. The only thing it can do and mess you up though is you're trying to get panels back on in place and trying to get seats to fit right and things like that. You're adding a measurable thickness to all of the metals, and you have to do entire pieces in order to really get the full benefit of it. Like if you do a small section on the door, you're always better off doing the entire door, so you're dissipating the vibration from all of it. But yeah, Dynamat makes a huge change in the car's sound and how tight it feels. What you could do, just buy an M5 and you won't hear anything. Buy my M5. It'll be for sale soon, I bet.
Adam wants to know, is there an ETA on the next iteration of microfiber solution?
Yeah, I got to get rolling on that. I'm not 100% sure on what I want to do. I'm going to spend some time at SEMA with my buddies from the rag company and kind of touch and feel things, and I'll lay them out on the table, and we'll probably be making an adjustment. And then when I make an adjustment, I always have to be careful because of quantities. They may not have for quite some time. The lead time on towels is a long time. And what I don't like doing is saying, here we go, and then we don't have it for 6 months or 3 months or 4 months. And that can happen sometimes with towels. It's sometimes we have to change colors on things because it's like 6 months out for the next iteration of it. But yeah, I'll probably have 3.0. My guess would be December, January.
All right, Zuko wants to know, do you remember what was the first car care product you ever bought for your cars?
It was probably the absorber.
What is that?
The absorber was like a chamois, like a synthetic chamois that you would use to dry. Otherwise, I used Dawn and my mom's, bucket she used to clean the floor. She's Dawn and that. And then the first product I ever bought on my own would probably have been like 97, maybe 98. I bought an absorber. And my goal was to get 2 absorbers, which I got probably in around 2000. And in 2000 is when I started to go to the AutoZone or whatever, Advanced Auto, and I'd go to that rack, and I'd just got to sort of dream about getting that. My buddy Alex had that vibrate-y orbital wax spreader, and I used that thing to spread wax for the first time. My life was changed. But what was I waxing? I was waxing using something. It wasn't New Finish. It was some other version of something like that. I think it was like a cheap version of Zymol or something. Yeah, I think that's what it was. It was like Zymol's entry-level squeezy, liquid wax that I would put on the car, and I'd cake that crap on there. It would be so hard to get off. And then I started clay barring in 2002 when I met Vince here in town, and he sort of showed me what that was like. We took our hand and rubbed it against the paint. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then that's what opened up Pandora's box to Griot's Garage around 2002. And then I started to make a little bit of money around probably 2000 and so from 2002 through 2006 and 7. I graduated the training program in 2006, and then from there, I think I became the manager in 2007. By the end of 2007, I had owned pretty much everything from the Griot's Garage catalog. And then in 2010 is when I was doing everything Griot's. I'd learned everything there was to learn about Griot's. I had all of their stuff. I'd bought and tried and thrown away a bunch of it. And then I got water spots on my M3 hood, and I did Griot's 4-step polishing system. And then that opened up the Rio box. That's when I discovered Detailer's Domain and Menzerna. And then it was game over. It was, almost losing our house for the next 10 years on the amount of detailing supplies that I bought. Yeah, and so my learning curve is really, really quickly. So I would say that actual detailing, was probably 2007, 2006, where I'm doing the Griot's Garage version of detailing. It'd be like if somebody started Adams today, or Griot's. Griot's is a bit much more sophisticated now than it was then. But I didn't know what a rotary polisher was or anything like that. And then, in normal fashion, I immerse myself into it deeper than any human should.
And here we are. It worked. Thomas Collier wants to know, when's the best time to stop by OGHQ?
I don't know.
I would say Mondays are kind of crazy busy around here, but we have people who stop by on Mondays. That's cool. Fridays seem to be a popular day, I guess, just because of people's work schedules. It's maybe a little easier to get away on a Friday. Not between 12 and 12:30ish, because that's when we're eating lunch, and we don't want to be bothered.
Well, I may or may not be eating lunch, but just bring your lunch, hang out. Yeah,
we're here 8 to 4:30, 5ish during the week. So I'd say like Tuesday, Wednesday, if you had a choice in the matter.
Yeah, and you're usually better off catching me earlier in the day because I kind of run out of gas. I run real hard, and then I kind of run out around 3 o'clock. These are very specific times. So come at 11:22 a.m. on Tuesdays, but only the third Tuesday of the month.
There you go.
It should come anytime. Yeah. Even lunchtime.
And if you want to know if Matt's going to be here, you can always email me, and I'll look at his schedule and say.
Even then you got a 50-50 shot.
Yeah. Let's see. What would you have done differently? This is from Charles Lee in chat and on Instagram. What would you have done differently to your F80 M3 suspension if you could do it all over again?
Oh, I would not have done RS, Pro, whatever. Camber plates is just too much. I would have done KWV3s and been done with it, or Öhlins, whatever, the Öhlins Road and Track, and been done with it. And not gone so darn crazy. If you wanted to retain EDC, I think the dine-in sleeve kit would be awesome too. Just real simple, real basic. If you're going to be driving around on the road, you won't need all the stuff that the. It also depends on the wheels that you do and the sidewall, the tires, and how low you need to go, because the dine is not going to let you go as low. But yeah, that's I would not go as extreme as I did. It was horrible driving around in the car. And I wouldn't do Advent 8008Rs either because they're so freaking loud. I'd stick with Pilot Super Sports or Pilot PS4s. Even Cup 2s are better than doing. I just love the look of those Advent 8008Rs. It's square sidewall. It looks so cool. The little S squiggle, whatever you pattern or tread. Really, really cool.
James Clark, he's been here before. He says, I'm planning on stopping by OGHQ in 2 weeks. What's the preferred public sub of the OG crew? Michelle told me Italian or chicken tender last time I was there.
Yeah, I'm a what do they call Boar's Head Italian guy with no lettuce, no frickin' tomato. You want a rant today? Here's a rant. Why in the U.S. do we feel the need to load up our delicious meats and cheeses with shredded lettuce? Who likes shredded lettuce? Do you like shredded lettuce?
I hate lettuce and tomato and all salad things.
Why would anyone want to eat that? It tastes terrible. Half the time it tastes like dirt. Like literally tastes like dirt. Like if you don't get it right. And not only that, would you want this processed whatever garbage from Subway or whatever? They take shredded lettuce and they bloat it on there. Let me get now I hate vegetables, but the only thing I might like would be maybe a couple of black olives are kind of good, or add some like banana peppers. Those two things. I was on a kick on that for a little while, but then they'd put like a pound of it on there. Like, don't mess up my meats and cheeses with the gosh darn lettuce. Who likes lettuce on anything? I want to eradicate this from society. Don't put lettuce and tomato on my freaking hamburger. It messes it up. Then I got to scrape it off, and there's little tomato seeds with the glop around them. I like tomatoes by themselves. Tomatoes are fine because it's like eating a darn piece of fruit. But what in the world is going on with this lettuce bonanza of the last 20 years? It's insane. It's filler. You're getting screwed. I'm trying to look out for the people. You're getting screwed with this shredded lettuce nonsense. And freaking tomatoes. Nothing's even... You know what's even worse? You know what can make these even worse? Is you go to... what's the stupid sub place that... it's gross. Firehouse or Quiznos. Those two are just as nasty as Subway. Firehouse. So you go there and they toast it. Now they're toasting shredded lettuce and tomatoes. You want to talk about vomit? You must just vomit on a darn sub roll and ruin the whole thing. And then we saw Kyle over here getting a Philly cheesesteak for, what was that, Jersey Mike's. It had American cheese on it. Like, I almost threw up on the table. It was horrible. It had mushrooms, like canned mushrooms. It had peppers, all these weird, chunks of peppers, and American sloppy cheese on this horrible thing. Philly cheese. Put some frickin' steak and provolone. Done. Maybe chicken if you're feeling healthy that day. But you need to pound the provolone on it. And if you're really crazy, then it's got to be the right kind of whiz, a cheese whiz from Pat's.
See, this is one of the very few areas where you and I agree 100% on something. Because lettuce and tomato, it used to irk me so bad. People would bring like a sandwich ring. Instead of a nugget tray, they bring a sandwich ring, and it has lettuce and tomato all over it. It's spilling all over it,
and you're scraping it off, and it's falling on the floor. Like, what in the world? Who decided that that's a good thing to do?
It took me more time to scrape it off.
I'm going to change some people's opinions. Don't give in to society. Be a rebel. Say, why are you putting lettuce? Why are you messing this up? Lettuce isn't doing anything for it. It's not healthy. It's worthless. It does nothing. There's no nutritional content whatsoever. Maybe it'll help you crap.
Could be.
Drink a little bit of milk. Run a lap. You'll crap all you need. What do you need frickin' lettuce for?
I'm with you on this one.
I promised myself I wasn't going to rant today. After last week's rant got me into so much trouble.
Oh, let's see here. Nick Jones says, Matt loves me because I eat vegetarian.
Oh, yeah. He grosses me out every time eating all that junk.
Okay, we addressed this question. So let me go here. You briefly mentioned in a recent video how you were testing out mats for car seats / booster seats. Will you be doing a brief video providing a recommendation after your trials? I'm an expectant father.
I
blah,
was
blah, blah.
planning on it, and then I gave up because they're all junk. I got one more coming, but we're not going to be here till November, so I'm like, screw it. You have to. I put a little bit in the vlog. Was it the vlog on Saturday? I think Saturday is when I released the vlog. There's a little bit of it. I had to cut the thing. We'll see how that holds up in order to fit the seatbelt in. Prince Lionheart, but I found this new one called Braille or something like that, which is basically a copy that's a little thicker, that has some like extra reinforcement. And then, Nerd Dad started emailing me saying, well, I read somewhere that those aren't any good. And I said, well, I don't see why it would, what's it going to hurt? And then everybody starts telling me, well, you didn't do your 5-star safety test crash rating bull crap on this thing. I'm like, I'm just wanting to not scratch my seat. And my kid's going to be just fine. All these seats are great. Why does a child seat have an expiration date on it? What's the half-life of nylon? Isn't it like 8,000 years or 800,000 years? What is going to break on a nylon and plastic seat ever? Did you get this with your wife? Did she give you a hard time on making sure to check the expiration date?
We did. That actually did come up. And I was like, that's just so you'll buy another one. That's the only reason it's
That's
there.
ridiculous. It'd be like, what's the expiration date on this tire filler? Because this plastic is going to wear out in 187 years of sitting in the sun. Whoever decided that's a freaking idiot. I'm sure somebody's going to send me some articles on blah, blah, blah. But I'm not reading it, so just don't even waste your typing. Don't you care about your kids? Yeah, that's why I bought them a child seat. Reasons why car seats have expiration dates. Yeah, tell me why.
Technology improves and standards change.
Oh, okay, yeah, I get that.
Materials wear down.
No, doesn't happen.
Models are only safety tested for a typical lifespan. After a certain amount of time, manufacturers do not test seats.
Well, that doesn't mean anything.
Recalls, replacement parts. Yeah, none of those are convincing me.
Yeah.
Especially when our parents will tell us, like, we were just riding around with no car seat. They're smoking a cigarette and no seatbelt on.
Well, but, that leads a question, evolving and evolution. And just because it was okay when we were born doesn't mean that it's still okay today. Just like, when, the whole R word that I use that's now eradicated from my vocabulary from last week's rant. Where I figured out what I should have said is I should have said inappropriate to email instead of email or private message me when you're feeling entitled, instead of saying it's R. I'm not going to say it because I don't want anyone pulling out of context again. But it was a pretty interesting thing. I mean, so somebody sends me a private message about what ScanGrip is saying, about this whole thing. We would appreciate you not using the word. And I was like, well, shoot, it would have been nice if they just, gave me a call and said, we don't like this, even though they pulled it completely out of context. And I even, backpedal saying, I get it. That word is done. It's kind of over. There's no reason to use it. I'm not married to it. It's one of those replacement words for the F word for me when I stop saying the F word. And I've no ties to it. I'm not like freedom of speech. It brought up most people defending me and cancel culture and all this. And as soon as someone brought it up, I'm like, yeah, I get it. Now it's a little shady that somebody it's either stolen or had the ScanGrip account, which really wasn't ScanGrip, and so ScanGrip was ticked. Like they went after them. Like they hired some high-powered attorney and got it shut down in like a day. Not because they don't agree or disagree or really care. It was that why is someone speaking on their behalf and people thinking that it's them when it's not them? And so they got that darn thing shut down in, I think, a day and a half. And they've been chasing it for years that some dude stole the profile or had the profile here. And they've been kind of loosely kind of getting it and trying to get it back. But the implication that, the thing I learned from this, one, the submission was accomplished by whomever the coward is that put that out there, instead of just saying, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm about. I really don't appreciate it. And I'm very public, and so it would make sense to call things out in a public domain when I've agreed to allow that to happen. So I wasn't angry or disappointed in that at all. I thought it was Scan Grip, and I thought they were my buddies. So I would have thought that you would come to me and say, "Hey, man, what's the deal?" But I am a public, and it would make sense for someone to call you out in public. I get that. I wouldn't do it, but I'm not mad about that at all. But it's one of those things like, the evolution of things. I'm not stuck. I mean, to me, it's just a word, and I know a lot of people will rebel against. It's not even if you care or saying about the world. You don't want anybody telling you what to say, and I don't really have that in me. Unless you're talking about lettuce on sandwiches. That's freaking ridiculous. That's de-evolution. What do you need lettuce on a darn sandwich for? So that's an opinion. When opinions are useless, but I'm joking there. But this whole thing of the thing I realized, I'm like, shoot, I could say the wrong thing that's pulled out of context completely. And, I've kind of hidden behind this or love this idea that, man, I own my own business. I write my own destiny. But really, I'm being elected by the people that are listening to this stuff. And I'm going to turn some people off because I don't stand for nonsense. I don't stand for certain things like being lazy and wasting our time in our Facebook group. And I have a certain vision for what that looks like. And I don't take too kindly to people calling me out on that. But I shouldn't be using the R word. I wasn't, I was not intending to call somebody the R word. I was intending to call the situation dumb or stupid. And that's a synonym for those words to me, the way I've always used it. And of course, it is a bit ridiculous that people are offended, but I get the point of let's just eradicate that from society. And I'm down with that. I mean, that the evolution of that makes perfect sense to me. And so, the good news is that the freaking thing got shut down, but I realized that, man, I got to be really responsible. What I don't want to be is I don't want to lose my authenticity. I don't want to lose the ability to rant and the ability to do me. But doing that, there's a difference between doing it appropriately and doing it inappropriately, or doing it very casually where I feel obligated to say whatever I want to say. Goes back to the same theme of this podcast, the discussion about Corvettes. And what I want to say, I can still say it and be very authentic with it, but be a bit more appropriate. And this is how I'm evolving and learning over time, to be as appropriate as possible. And I'm always going to mess up and say things that I shouldn't say, especially when we're live. You can't edit out. But the evolution of my thought process on this, man, I think about how awesome I'm going to be when I'm like 78 years old and about to die. You'll figure a lot of things out. But the interesting thing is that both sides of it, where people are really, really angry that you were not allowed to use a word, and then people that are really, really angry that you did use the word, I find myself in the middle on all of this stuff. I don't give a crap about the word. If you told me to stop saying crap, it might take me a little while to figure out how to say it, or how to get rid of it, or to put a buzzer or a dog shock collar on my neck or something. But Michelle also used this as an opportunity to stick it to me. Said, if you're going to get rid of the R word, then you need to get rid of the D word. I'm like, dang it. So, and then she told me I can't say dang it or crap anymore. Now what am I going to say? I'm going to be this extremely eloquent, well-spoken gentleman. So I don't know why I got on a tangent on that. But it was fascinating to see how far that spreads, how quickly. But man, it could go really, really wrong if you're stupid. If you make a stupid mistake. And, even though I own my own business, all these magical manufacturers that I'm in partnership with say, you know what, we're out. This guy is a liability. You would hope that they would go and look at the context of him and say, look, this is ridiculous. We've all said the same thing 1,000 times. So what I'm getting at is hopefully I've fallen on the sword. I don't know that I need to apologize for this because I'm not dug in on it. it's a word that I'm not interested in, wasn't interested in, and again, I'm not really interested in any words. I am interested in the freedom to speak your mind, but I also am interested in the freedom of people to vote with either their wallet or their view or their liking or dislike. And I used to think of politicians as fake. We had a discussion with Nancy in my coaching group this morning, and we just talked about how a coach. Or not a coach, a politician, in many cases outside of maybe Trump, is generally appropriate to the audience, and they'll pander to the audience. I don't intend on pandering to a broad audience, but I intend on being as appropriate as possible, and I always have. Sometimes that even being appropriate will still turn a large number of people off. But I guess whomever that sort of cowardly person that posted that anonymously, without just shooting me an email. Have you ever met anybody that's come here that I said, you're an idiot, I don't like you? I mean, have you ever seen me do that ever in my life? You've seen me meet thousands of people. I just don't understand why someone wouldn't. I mean, I understand the public for public because I'm public, but something's clearly taken out of context. I mean, I guess I do understand why. There was an agenda there. They're trying to ruin whatever it is going on here because they don't agree with it, or they don't like it, or they don't believe in it. And then you see other people, you see the Scott Blay posting it in his group, that what's up with this guy? When he's clearly just trying to get people riled up. What's up with this guy is nothing. I'm calling idiots idiots. And so what if they're in my group? So it was a really interesting, and then I see Pan went after him. I don't mess with Canadians, man. Now I see why your spidey senses are up with Canadians. Those guys will cut you. They'll shiv you when you're not looking. Those guys are he didn't take any crap. Don't mess with those darn Canadians, dude. They're nice, but man, they scare me. That's my new fear. My new phobia is Canadians. I love them. Love you guys. But don't turn on me. I don't want you coming after me. Yeah. See, Canadians are my favorite people. So I don't want them coming to kill me.
All the Canadians that have been here are quite nice.
Luckily, Canadians don't like Corvettes, so that's good. Yeah, every Canadian that's been here has been amazing.
Oh, yeah.
We're always joking about not liking, well, maybe Chris is not.
I'm only half joking. But
no, getting things to Canada is always complicated.
Right.
Yeah.
I hate lettuce way more than I hate Canadians.
So hopefully some people will learn, lessons from this stuff that I'm sharing in life, and sharing very, very publicly. And a very simple replacement word in that rant would have been, that's just inappropriate, and I can still yell it at the camera and at the microphone and still get the same effect, without using these choice words that I don't like using the F word. It's interesting how you can say the F word all you want and nobody cares. I could say it 45 times in the next 10 minutes, and I'm not going to offend very many people. Well, that offends me, so it doesn't. I don't, just because I don't care what you say doesn't mean other people don't care what you say. And I'm not giving in. I'm just giving up something that I don't care about. I really don't care about it. End of story. What other questions we got?
Let's see. Noe wants to know, Chris, where'd that question go? Has hanging around Matt turned you into a car guy?
It's made probably been more like a polar opposite. It's like, why are you spending all this time doing all this stuff? Just drive the car already. You're saying it like everybody else says.
No, it hasn't. But I will have a newer vehicle soon. I don't want to jinx anything, but it's going to be soon. And then it'll be a newish vehicle, so I'm going to take much better care of it. So I won't go to the extremes in many vehicles. Yeah,
you won't maybe kick the door closed.
Yeah, I won't do that. But and I will take care of it a little better than this one that I got when it was 220,000 miles old.
It's going to be hard to break that habit of not caring.
Yeah.
It's
we'll
like
see how long that lasts.
It's like one of those things in your life. It's like I a lot of times I envy people that don't work out and just eat responsibly. Now, granted, they're too skinny and look like a bunch of sissies, but man, I'd have so much time. Skip that, because there's the prep before, the prep after, the pain afterwards, the being sore all the time. Man, it'd be amazing. Same thing with cars. I'm like, man, if I didn't care and just drove a car and you just throw it away and get a new one, don't wash it and don't deal with all this, I'm full of crap. I would hate that existence. I would hate to be that person. In other words, I would hate to be you.
That's good.
Please take offense to that.
Another thing we have in common. Brandon Scott Jones wants to know, what are your thoughts on Zeiss wipes? What's the product/procedure of choice for camera lenses?
I usually just have like a bottle of lens cleaner that I poured out and put some invisible glass in, or what was, Griot's glass cleaner, or some whatever, glass cleaner I like at the time, and I just use that with a little microfiber towel that I've kind of leave in the cabinet, and I use that for my glasses, and I'll bring my cameras over and clean the lenses with that. But yeah, I haven't had a need to, and I very rarely have to clean those things. I clean the lenses about as often as I clean the windshield on my car, which is not very often, because I'm not palming them with cheeseburger fingers and licking them like I'm licking this microphone. So I generally don't have to clean them very often. They tend to stay pretty clean.
Sanju wants to know, any chance of a ZL1 1LE on the channel? I recall you liked it more than the Z06 around Tail of the Dragon.
I like the way it felt in drive, but man, that thing, the seating position, visibility of that is even worse. Ooh, I don't think I could stomach that for more than 5 minutes. That's the hardest part of the Corvette. I already yelled about that once. And no, I'm not buying the Cletus McFarlane. That seat is a piece of junk. I'm not sitting in that thing. It's like this piece of plastic. It's like this thick, and it's like kind of curved out. And I'm not sitting in that seat. You nuts? I'm a freaking fat old man. I need some comfort here. He's 22 years old. He can sit whenever he wants. I'm not doing that. I'd sell the car before that. Although I did call Tyler Senarusa to get my helmet done. I'm going to get a sick OG racing helmet. No, don't say racing. I don't like that. Helmet for driving a car. Racing car. Let's go on track in our racing car.
Wear it all the time.
I'm not a Brit. I'm a hick American. Don't try to be sophisticated using terms that don't belong. Don't call it a boot. Don't call it a windscreen. Don't do that. Don't call it turn off the nannies. Leave that to the Brits. That's their words. Let's not steal it from them.
Track day helmet. There's a suggestion from the chat.
Yeah. Just a freaking helmet. I'm going to get a Bell helmet, carbon fiber. I really want the Arai, but that one's like $4,500 before he does his thing to it. I don't think I want to do that. I think the Bell is $2,200. I want the one that Troy has.
Lots of burger and lettuce talk here. We have some burger and lettuce shirt ideas. Do lettuce elsewhere. That's good from Brandon. I would pay full price.
We should get to the point where we have an employee whose entire job is to listen to the podcast and create shirts every single day. We would make a fortune. Right? You have to do short runs because, it wears off. The Mattyisms wear off pretty quickly. But, yeah, do lettuce elsewhere.
I like that. So, and to circle back around, by the way, to James, who asked that question, I think he probably got the point. But, yeah, meat, cheese, and condiments on the side.
Not American cheese.
Provolone,
Swiss cheese.
Swiss.
Provolone. Stick to the simple. Cheddar. Some cheddars are decent.
White cheddar.
Provolone. Colby.
Mm-hmm.
Colby Jack.
Some Gouda. You like Gouda?
No, that's too slimy. Mm. So really, I only like 3 cheeses. Don't give me this bullcrap American slop. Like putting Velveeta on anything. My sister loved everything Velveeta. I guess gets so mad at her.
Ooh, pepper jack. There's a good suggestion. I like
that's good. Yeah. But that's much better as like cut it in blocks and eat a whole
cracker.
Brick. I don't have a problem with cheese doesn't block me. I can eat cheese like it's going out of style.
Let's see. A couple folks have asked about your opinion, your thoughts on Clarity Coat after working or seeing it, I guess, with Tavares?
I don't see how it's viable. It looked great, but I mean, you're talking about full paint booth. You're always going to have runs and issues. And so you're going to have to denib it. Then you're going to have to wet sand it. And then sand it again. And then sand out it again. And then put another coat on and sand it again. And then you're going to have to sand it again and then polish it. And it's very finicky to polish. And that's a lot of work. Now you don't have to go to the level that Freddie's trying to go to with that they're trying to get to, but it looked fantastic and it looked just like paint. And the greatest thing about it is you don't have to remove the texture of the paint. You can kind of remove the texture of the clarity coat. But I mean, you're talking about, I mean, what's that going to cost to do and do right? I mean, it's a newer thing. And I don't know how viable it is to do, and I don't know what the cost of it would be to do versus just slopping some PPF on and walking away. But we're going to have a major conundrum coming up here with the GT3 RS. So think about this for a little bit. Maybe we'll talk about this more next week. My GT3 RS is 2 years now, coming up on 2 years since we did the PPF and coating. I just, for the first time, I brought the car in here, and I started just on the dry, clean car after washing. Just took my hand and dragging it across the paint, and it's starting to contaminate. So just to remind you, we corrected the paint, put SunTech Ultra, coated it with a coat of Miyabi, and then a coat of ISM on top of that Kamikaze ISM. So now I have the PPF on the paint. The PPF is still in decent shape other than some of the little cracks that, it'll build up dirt. But it's not beat to the point to where I would want to replace it. I mean, it's only 2 years old, and we got $7,500 worth of clear film on the car, plus then the coating. So now comes the conundrum. I've got contamination on it. I could try doing a decon wash and an iron removal. I suspect iron is not really a big problem where we live here in Florida. So what am I going to do? I can't polish off the coating. So I've got bead maker. Then underneath that, I've got ISM. And underneath that, I got Miyabi. And I've got some probably patches of failed ISM and failed, And then you have the coating or the top coat of the PPF. So how... I can't just start grinding away and remove all of that. So what do I do? If I clay and auto scrub the car, I'm going to scratch the coating or the PPF. And it's probably not going to self-heal because you pretty much negate the self-healing properties of the PPF once you coat the car. So what's the plan? Do I yank all the PPF off 2.5 years in and start over? Do I deal with the contamination? It's going to start shining less and less. What do I do? What would you do? That's a pretty interesting conundrum to now think about. That I've got $8,000 worth of coatings and PPF and all this stuff on the car. I'm 2 years in. Do you go spend another 8 G's and redo it? Because it needs to be redone. It needs to be decontaminated. Or do you just tough it out for another 5 years with some crappy looking contaminated up paint?
Well, let me ask you this. When you got it done, what was your did you have an expectation?
Yeah, this is exactly the conundrum and why I'd never do PPF. Because this just makes logical sense to me. Everybody just assumes, well, I'm going to just do this and I'm going to get... Who cares? A warranty means absolutely nothing on this stuff. What is a warranty going to do for you? They're not warrantying against contamination. You could go back and have them visit the car. I'm doing whatever maintenance they're talking about doing to the coating. I'm doing every single wash. So what you're just going to have contaminated up, kind of crunchy feeling PPF. The coating's still there, still beads water, still cleans up nicely, but that's not acceptable to me. This is why I've rebelled against this kind of whole thing from the beginning. Coatings have become much easier to remove. So like the M5, this is why I say they can say 5, 8, 9-year coating. The coating will still be there, but the car will be all gummed up with all kinds of contamination. You'll feel it. It'll feel crunchy and not smooth, and then that'll affect the finish. And so then as soon as I decontaminate that, now I'm damaging and compromising the layer. I don't know how much has been removed, how much isn't, how much is still there. So you just don't, I can't just walk up to the paint and say, well, the bead maker's off the car and the ISM and the Miyabi's still there and the top coat of the whatever. You can't do that. You don't know what's even on there anymore. And then let's say you did a quick pass of the polisher. How much was removed? Can I put a new, because ISM, most things won't bond to, so most coatings won't. So I can't just top it with another layer ISM. It doesn't lay on itself. It'll reject it. So what do? You just wait 5 years, and so year 3 through 5, your car looks like crap? I'm not really into that. Actually, year 2 through 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like, no, I guess it'd be 3, 4, 5. The next 3 years look like crap. And then do I invest on pulling it off and start over? Or do I just keep stretching it out? I mean, what do? This is why waxing's so great. You just move it off and remove it and start over. And do that every 9 months. And that's why now coatings have become capable of doing that too. The old coatings, you'd have to do some really crazy crap to get them off. But even then, coatings still aren't as easy to get off, and you're not really sure if it's completely off. Did it reject it? Did it not? So it's not an exact science when removing these things off the surface of the paint. So then Clarity Coat would add an even greater complexity. I'm going to spend $10,000 to get my car Clarity coated. When do I pull that off? Obviously, the easy time to pull it off is when it's all peppered up from rocks and you replace it. But, I mean, man. It's a conundrum. It's not a cut and dry, let me just PPF and coat my car and everything's beautiful for eternity. It's not that simple. So that's going to be an interesting discussion to have as we go through this process.
Oh, and this has come up in the chat and something I was wondering as well. When you got that done, did you imagine you would even have the car this long?
Yes.
Because most cars you kind of...
Yeah, the RS I thought I would have a right around now, and I thought that I'd be getting a new one now. Well, the new one came out like minutes after I bought mine, and so I wasn't expecting that. Maybe I should have paid more attention, or I don't know what was going on at the time. But because I got mine, they just finished up the .1, and the .2 was supposed to be a little further down the road. And I thought I would just trade my .1 in for a .2 at some point in a couple of years. So I thought I'd have it for a couple of years. And don't get me wrong, if pretty much anybody who looks at it, this is great, but you just run your hand across and be like, oh yeah, what do you do about that? As soon as I grab auto scrub and start scrubbing away, what happens? I'm going to start scratching and compromising. I'm not going to be able to self-heal it because I've got a coating on top of it. So then people are saying, well, why don't you put a self-healing coating? Well, how does your self-healing coating, even if that really does work very well, like Fine Lab or something like that, how does that hold up when you put it on a self-healing top coat of a PPF? So why don't you just leave the self-healing of the PPF and not coat that? Well, they're not quite as hydrophobic, and then it doesn't last as long. So, man, it's a really interesting conversation to have that for some reason I don't hear anybody having.
Brandon here in the chat says, I'm 2 years in on a full front clip of PPF on my daily driven BMW. It's got a little contamination, but it's not coated. I've clayed it and lightly polished it, and that seems to do the trick.
Yep. Yeah, but then you're going to eliminate the top coat, the self-healing coat of the you're going to compromise that of the PPF at some point if you have that type, the higher end PPFs that have that. So it's just an interesting thing that no PPF company or no coating company is talking about. I'm going to talk about it. That's for darn sure, because it's on my freaking car.
Connor also has good advice here in the chat. Try some bead maker top with eraser. That's my secret formula. We'll try that. I don't know if Matt will try that on his car, but we'll see. All right, so we're over an hour and a half at this point. That's good.
Yeah, I think we covered it.
Yep, and I just hit a reload here in Shopify. It looks like Bryce and or Mike, we're working on getting Swiss Vax up in the store, so it's getting close. So if you're listening to this podcast, it's probably out by now, but if you're viewing live, it'll be a little bit.
And then we'll have some videos of the M5 interior and the GT3 interior of using the products. I'm working on. I just talked. The reason why this is sitting here, I'm not trying to pimp this, and I start fidgeting with things. But this is the PCL DCE, I believe, or DTE. This is a digital tire inflator. So I've got PCL on board. I'm having them send me, just like I always do, one of everything or two of everything. I need to know, like, this is the one I'm using, but is this the best option? What is the best option? And so once I figure out the best option, then we're going to have it in the store. This thing is sick for filling your tires. I love this one, but I think there's an even better one we were talking about. It has a better connection or better chock. So I've got one of everything in transit here, so these will be hitting the store soon. I love this thing. This is a credit, honor the source. Gregory down in Texas, my mad scientist buddy. I haven't heard from him in a long time. Hope he's doing all right. Crap, that means he's going to email a 25-page email. He's the mad scientist, I call him, who I credit on why I ended up with an MTM M407 sprayer, and then have chased it to this nth degree down to having my very own Mosmatic custom version. We have proofs of the OG version. I'm hoping I get one of those soon. I need to start using it in my wash bay. I don't have the nozzle. I need 6.0 nozzles that they're creating. So we're just to keep everybody in the loop, we're looking at probably, mid to late December, just like I thought. It's going to take a lot longer than they had said. But they're in production, and it just takes a while for them to build and then get here. And my first order is rather sizable. But I don't. We haven't sold out. We're probably maybe 40% through the first order. But I'm suspecting through Black Friday, the garage giveaway that we're doing, which we're making the final decisions. You're going to hear a ton about that. But I talk a lot about inside the hex of what my vision for the organizational structure is and what I'm thinking about, where the evolution of Obsessed Garage continues to head into out of just retailing. Or curating products, but now sharing and really chasing the improvement of all of these great products that we have, and how I intend to do that, and how I intend to build Destination HQ. I'm going to continue to focus on that in the Hexcast over the course of the next several months. Anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for the support. Thanks to Chris for keeping me somewhat on track, and thanks to me for not saying any bad words this time.
Well done.
Catch you soon. Oh, shoot. We got to walk over there and turn it off.
Here you go. Bryce to the rescue.
Peace.
Don't say anything bad before he cuts us off.
Hurts every time. The darn tailbone. I'm getting new seats. Ordering them after my... Jeez.